As I was writing this book, I found myself thinking about the marketing position of the book. What problem does the book solve for the reader, and what benefits will the reader receive from purchasing and using the book? Then someone told me to think about the emotions. What emotions do I want the reader to feel from this book? Now that was easy because I want the reader to feel calm, fearless, and encouraged. I know firsthand how frustrating it can be when you follow a recipe to the letter and then through no fault of your own, it still flops. So when I picked the recipes for this book, I personally tested and retested them over and over again several times. So if you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, once you attempt one of the recipes in this book, your bread will come out perfect the very first time. So what makes me an authority in teaching you how to make bread? 36 plus years of experience, and many of those years in the beginning was a lot of trial and error. So the very first bread that I ever made was Belizean Creole bread and then Belizean Creole bun. My mom's Aunt Eileen had the best recipe, so when she visited us in the 1980s from Belize, my husband Joe and I pinned her down to try to get the recipe from her. We didn't know that she was suffering a little bit of dementia already, so some of the measurements was off. So when we tried it, it came out bad the first couple of times, and honestly, I gave up. Joe continued to try, and we questioned her some more until we finally got the recipe, and then Joe made the breads and it came out pretty good. So after that, he passed everything over to me, and I started to practice for months on end until I got the breads perfect. Fast forward to 2011, I started to post cooking videos on YouTube, and of course the first couple of bread recipes I did was Belizean Creole bread and Belizean Creole bun. Now throughout the years, I started to post the videos on Facebook also, and then I took an assessment and discovered that I know how to make a lot of different breads. So that's why it made a lot of sense for me to make this bread book. Now you might be wondering exactly what you will find inside this book. Well, first of all, every page has pictures on it and the text is large, so you will have no trouble reading. There are also 55 unique recipes. Now 3 to 4 of the recipes I put in there 3 times, and that's because the first batch is for a large quantity to feed maybe like 20 people. The second batch is for 4 to 5 people. And then the last batch is for 1 to 2 people. Now, I know it's easy for some people to just half or 1/3 or 1/4 a recipe, but for me, I found it difficult sometimes. So I made this chart and I put it in the back of the book. So for example, if you want to half a recipe and the ingredient says 1/3 cup, right? You would just come down on this column right here and then go across to the half. And that would be 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of whatever that ingredient is. I also have other helpful hints inside the book, and it's not stuff like how to fold a napkin or how to set a dinner table. It's stuff that actually helps you to make the breads better. Like for example, I let you know that I personally can't cut the slits in any bread after it's risen the second time because I'm heavy-handed and I bust it. So I cut the slits before the second rise. I also teach you how to activate or bloom the yeast. I tell you what the water temperature should be, and if you don't have a thermometer, how I test for the correct temperature for the yeast. I teach you the different ways to fold the dough, especially when making croissants. Now, making croissants is very easy. The recipe itself is very simple, but it's just the different folds that you have to do. And I show you in pictures, not just in graphs. I show this in the back of the book, how to fold for croissants and several of the breads, and how to plait or braid several of the breads. Some of the breads that are in the book are rustic breads like artisan bread, baguette, Dutch oven bread. I have fun breads like hot dog bun, hamburger bun, pigs in a blanket, croissant, pan dulce, conchas, the Mexican bread. I have naan bread. I have Guyanese salara bread. Of course, I have my Belizean breads. And I even put an extra recipe for what you can do with leftover bread all the way in the back of the book. And pretty much any bread that you can think of, you will find in this book. And when you try it, it'll come out perfect the very first time.